with your combatives, with your pistol work.
Yeah, I think that we're already seeing, a little bit of that in the martial arts community, where we have a lot of law enforcement, not only getting involved, but are highly proficient in a lot of the martial arts. So I think that there are a lot of military personnel. One of my personal friends is a first sergeant, military police, and he's, very well trained in jiu-jitsu. And, I see a lot with him and the team that he trains with that, yes, a lot of people who are trained on guns are really starting to consider, getting serious with martial arts. And they are taking that very seriously, because I think that they see that there's a better combination or a better approach to being able to disarm someone when you're trained in both arenas.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Wow. I had a question I was going to ask, and then you kind of answered it there, and then I forgot what question it was going to be. So.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Jay, you were asking about knives.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to do a little bit of work with Tom Sotis, who's a pretty well-known knife trainer. My personal knife that I carry, my folder, is I carry a TDI law enforcement close quarters knife up under my belt buckle, and then my folder is the Cold Steel AK-47, which I've drugged that knife from Kuwait to Africa to Afghanistan and all points in between. So,
yeah. I have a CKRT M16 that I used to carry all the time, but when I went to also carrying a pistol, since I'm right-handed, it just became too bulky to carry both my 1911 and the CKRT that I had. So I switched to a real slimline Smith & Wesson Extreme Ops. So.
Yeah, for both your military listeners, Victor and Jay, I would just say that in terms of on the topic, is to look at an edged weapon in conjunction with the placement of their kit, specifically mags. So everything needs to be in a proximity that if they got knocked down onto their back or whether they're standing, that everything, is in a position where it's in a go-to position. A lot of guys, they're always going for that Gucci cool factor of having something slung low or, knife drawn, down low, and it won't work. You're going to need it in a placement the same way that you think of it as a mag change.
Yeah.
Right.
When I was in the Army and I was carrying the Beretta M9 in a drop, I used to wear a Serpa drop leg quick holster, and I used to strap my K-bar directly underneath it. So when I dropped my right hand, I'd hit the pistol, but all I had to do was move it up, and I'd be on my hilt. Yeah,
exactly. I get it. Because a lot of the TAC guys, in the States are using the same kind of idea. So that if you're using that drop leg, like you said, your muscle memory's already been built to go for that first primary or that secondary weapon in case with you your edge weapon is there. So yeah, it works because you're used to it.
Yeah, it really. That's a good point. That's an excellent point. That's one of the reasons I kind of gravitated towards carrying a folder and also carrying the TKI LE knife up under my belt buckle for in a clinch where you can throw up a fence with your left hand and then get to the knife under your belt buckle if you don't have the freedom of movement of your arms. But don't get me started on the Sherpa holster, Jay.
It's a lot of what we do is muscle memory when as far as any training goes, and I think the biggest kick with everything we're talking about here is if you don't train, if you don't use it, if you don't think about it daily, it's pretty much useless to you.
I think that's true in any form of training.
I mean, just like everybody's talking situational awareness. I have mild PTSD. To me, mild PTSD is actually a good thing for me. You definitely pay attention to your surroundings a lot more when you're a little paranoid. I never was before, my first deployment, but after my first deployment, when everything was trying to kill you, you kind of get that situational awareness where you're kind of, all right, that guy's printing, that guy's got, that knife, that guy's doing something funky. You can kind of pick up on people's actions, the way they're talking, the way they're moving, and see who is a threat and who's not a threat before anything ever happens.
Well, and Jay, I think
exactly.
that what you bring up there is very important when going back to training a teenager. That is one of the most important things that they need to look at is situational awareness. That's not traditionally taught in schools. That came to you through experience, and I think that even talking with you today, I'm starting to question myself. Do I even look around when I walk out the house? Probably not, because it's just out of habit that being a civilian, you don't even think to do it. But going back to the teenager thing, I think that's probably one of the more important things that needs to be taught before any type of combat is presented.
Yeah, if you go back and I'm real big on not reinventing the wheel. I think if you look at some military geniuses in the past, you don't have to repackage and try to pretend it's your own when it's not. So if you look at Colonel Boyd and his OODA loop with, observe-oriented and decide and act, I think if you put the advanced principles that the colonel has actually, meticulously come up with, that's going to save you in more ways than you can imagine, and you can use that as a template, not, just if you're training door kickers, but for training anybody, that you need to compress time and move faster, through the fight than what your adversary is, and that's the essence of that loop.
For sure.
Yeah, and Christine, this is Vic. To kind of pigtail on what you said. One of the things I teach both of my daughters is the 3 S's, and that's don't hang out with stupid people, don't go to stupid places, and don't do stupid things. Spend that 10 seconds of critical thought before you act, and if something deep inside of your reptilian brain says, this is probably stupid, just don't do it.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Good advice.
Yeah, and always trust your gut instinct. That's another thing that
radio show that I couldn't log into.
I think a lot of people fail to do is that when they feel that something's wrong, they don't get themselves out of the situation, and that again is most important when defending yourself. You get out of the situation if you can. I can't stress on that enough.
When in doubt, get out.
Yep, and absolutely do not carry a weapon that you don't know how to use. I see, especially up here, people will walk around like they're tough, and I'm sure, and please don't judge me because I am from the Jersey Shore, but you have this mentality of these meatheads coming out with a bunch of muscles. They don't necessarily know anything about combat, and oftentimes it's the people that don't know and don't respect the firearms that wind up causing the most damage.
Yeah, I love meatheads, as you call them. They're very fun, especially when they're trying to intimidate people.
Yeah, you should see them with me being 5'2" and a fighter.
Yeah, it's like I weigh 200 pounds on my bad days, and I'm not the biggest guy in the world as far as muscle strength. I'm not fat, but I'm not uber skinny. But it's really funny the way these guys will come out and be like, well, I'm bigger than you, I'll squash you, and you're like, probably not, dude.
Mhm. And, the ironic part of a lot of the fighters, because I also work very close with a lot of professional fighters, is a lot of them do not like to put on display that they have such an elite skill set. Most of the proficient martial artists, you'll never know it walking around. They keep themselves, they keep to themselves. They're responsible people. And I think that the martial arts has a very good foundation that teaches you responsibility with the power that it does teach you. And especially being a smaller person, being able to defend myself can be even more challenging. But then going back to jiu-jitsu, that's exactly what it was designed to do, is teach a smaller opponent how to take down a larger opponent or to submit a larger opponent. Because let's be real here, Jay, if I'm going to throw a jab at you, you might bounce and giggle a little. So, it's, that's about all that's going to happen. I'll just piss you off a little bit.
Yeah, it's
not knocking you out.
Well, I just had brain surgery, so knocking me out is probably pretty easy.
I would never do that, but especially because I know what you're carrying when you leave the house.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with firearms. The shooting community, we'll call them the shooting community, the guys that carry daily, most of us, you never know. We don't advertise the fact that we're carrying a gun. We don't show people that we have a gun. We don't act like we have a gun. More often than not, we will fade into the background and disappear from everything before something gets bad, because if we're caught in a wrong situation, we lose our right to our guns.
Right.
And we have a responsibility to help other people, to step in where we can to help another human being. But if that's going to cause us to do something wrong, 99.9% of responsible gun owners are just going to step away.
Right.
Well, Jay, I'm going to throw something out there that's kind of controversial, and I've got my own opinion on it. Some states, and I hold a concealed carry permit in the state of Florida and also in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
Both states require a background check through the NCIC, National Criminal Information System. Florida requires training before they issue a concealed carry permit, and Alabama does not. And when I had my concealed carry permit in Georgia, when I was going to university there, it did not require training when I was there. So
still don't.
What is everybody's opinion on that? Requiring training and being able to demonstrate a certain skill set before the state will allow you to carry a concealed weapon.
I believe
as a trainer, as a trainer, I'm going to say that I would support that.
100%.
That's kind of why I'm
harder than educating yourself on a weapon that can not only injure somebody, can kill somebody or yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, just even to protect yourself, like you said before, if you don't know where that muzzle is, you can take your own head off. That's kind of important.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm starting this shooting schools, because there's a lot of people out there that do carry, they don't know what they're doing. A lot of people that went through a class, maybe in Florida or something else, and they know how to shoot straight. They know how to pull a weapon and shoot a target at, 15 yards. Well, what are you doing when that perpetrator is up on top of you and that person is trying to get you and they're 2 feet away? You don't have time to draw and go to a full draw.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jay, I think that what you're doing is awesome, and I would personally love to see more people up here, get involved with that sort of thing, because I think the biggest thing that I see up here is, well, I would love to get a gun, but I don't know where to go to learn how to use it. And I think you guys would agree that going to the range a couple times with a pistol is not learning truly how to use a weapon. Those are the basics, but I don't feel that going to a range a couple times is sufficient enough for a completely untrained civilian to properly own a weapon.
Exactly. Well, I hate to do it, but we are running out of time.
Oh, you're killing me, man. You're killing me.
Yeah, I know. This was a good show.
Excellent.
Yeah, good time tonight.
So,
I would like to thank.
I'd like to thank both of you for coming on and engaging in this conversation for everybody. And I learned a lot. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people did too. So if you guys want to put anything else out or join in any more discussions, we have our group page, The Shooter's Rest, on Facebook, or The Shooter's Rest Radio on Facebook, and we also have the web page, or the regular page, The Shooter's Rest. feel free to join them. Feel free to jump on, throw anything out there you want to talk about, add to.